Welcome back to the Cuban Center for a day of giving. It is a very special day on campus at Indiana University. A reminder, if you've been watching all along, you know this, but your donations today are matched 100%. You can go to inforindiana.com. It's been a fantastic day so far. We've heard from Trey Galloway. We've heard from Xavier Johnson. And now it is time to hear from a couple IU volleyball players. I'm Trisha Whitaker alongside Kara Adams. And to my right, we've got Cameron Hayworth, a junior for IU volleyball. And we've got Ramsey Gary, a freshman for IU volleyball. And they're going to talk with us a little bit about NIL, how it's impacted the landscape, and just get to know them a little bit more. So we'll kind of start with you, Cameron, a little bit. NIL, how have you seen it impact not just some of the high revenue sports, but sports like volleyball as well for players like yourself to get involved in that?
Yeah, it's been really interesting just to get involved in the community, especially like there's a lot of different businesses and programs that want you to have success from their company and really partner with you. And I think that's been really cool just for the support of volleyball.
And you're new to this, you're a freshman, but the fact that you have this opportunity, I mean, how exciting is that for you, considering you've got a lot of years left to kind of capitalize on this?
Yeah, I'm very new to this, but it's super cool to like just see how it's been growing, especially for volleyball, and I'm excited for like years to come to see how it's been growing. Yeah.
So I think a lot of times, sometimes NIL can only, one thing that's misled is that only male athletes from a high revenue sport can have success with it. But Cameron, can you talk about how like empowering it is to be a female athlete in a sport like volleyball, how it's impacted you and how you've just grown being a part of NIL here at IU?
Yeah, I think like in more than just volleyball, like women's sports as well, like basketball, like you see Sydney Parrish, you see Mackenzie Holmes, their revenue has grown hugely from NIL. And I think that helps with all the women's sports. So now like our team is looking at them and saying, oh, how can I get involved? How can I help? How can I do something for the community? And I think that's been really cool just for especially our team to look at them and kind of raise our standards for NIL.
Kara mentioned it, but how can you even put words into how empowering that is for female athletes? Because I mean, let's be honest, sometimes female sports and female athletes, they do not get the traditional media coverage that they deserve or that men's sports get. And to be able to kind of write your own narrative with NIL and establish yourself, how empowering is that?
It's very empowering. You kind of get to build your own brand, I think is how you put it. And I think it's just very cool to kind of have that confidence in yourself and in the community around you.
Ramsey, what do you think? How about?
It's definitely opened more doors for us. It's very empowering. I think just like seeing other women like build their brand and just seeing how we could build our brand.
So Ramsey, going back to you about that, what would your brand be to personalize? How would you describe yourself?
I would do a lot of fashion things. So like shoes, I love shoes. So that
She's got a great shoe game and a cute little anklet too.
Oh, yeah.
So very
I would love
fashionable.
Jewelry. Jewelry would be great, like a little necklace.
Coming up with so many
I
ideas.
would love that. Food, definitely too. Food is me all the way. I would love maybe like desserts, or like make my own candy. I like
Okay.
eat candy before every game. That's like my go-to snack. So yeah,
What's your go-to candy before games?
anything sour.
Anything
so like
sour.
sour straws. Yeah.
Oh, I can see some Sour
Oh,
Patch
yeah.
type of company
That's all
making
me.
Sour Patch
Yeah.
IU candy,
Oh,
candy themed or whatever. The Indiana volleyball team. I mean, it has been so exciting this season, particularly to watch you guys. I mean, the Wilkinson Hall being sold out and seeing the crowd support as a junior watching that, Cameron. I mean, that's got to be so exciting for you guys.
Yeah, just to like see the community grow around us
Yeah.
and have the opportunity to like kind of sit there before the game and be like, wow, this game is sold out. Like we kind of just sat there as a group, like take it in. Like people are showing up to watch our warm up. Like that's very cool.
How has it changed from your freshman year to now your junior year?
I think just like our group as a whole feels more like a family. And like I think that's when the community kind of bought into us. And I think it's just grown. It's just grown so much.
A huge part of that has been Coach Aaron. And
Yes.
Ramsey, I'll direct this question at you first, and then Cameron, because you're when you were by Coach Aaron. I mean, how much has he impacted you in just this short season and the program in general and what he's done?
He's done so much. So he's recruited me since I was like in 7th grade. So it's crazy. He's definitely grown like us as a team, like bonded together like more than ever. Coming in, I was like, I didn't know what to expect, but like he guided me, like he's helped me through thick and thin. I mean, we've had some ups and downs, but he's always been there.
I was going to say he was probably one of the big reasons you came here.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Cameron, what about you? What have you seen from him throughout your last 3 years here?
He's definitely like a father figure. He thinks of us as like all of his children. And like no matter what goes on inside the volleyball stuff, if we need him outside the court, he's always there. And that's something very special.
Volleyball as a whole, like the Big Ten Network has been really pushing a lot of games on the Big Ten Network. What does that kind of mean to you just to see volleyball grow with everywhere nationwide?
I think it's amazing, especially for women in sports, like just to have that platform that more of our games are being shown on Big Ten Network and all the other platforms.
Ramsey, what about you being a freshman and now getting to play in games that are huge and just being broadcasted nationally?
Yeah, so like coming into it, I didn't realize how big it was. I would always watch some volleyball games on like TV, but like it wasn't as big as it is even like today. So it's like opened a lot of doors for us, and I think it's super cool.
We need to talk about your career so far as a freshman, because we want people to get to know both of you and your personalities. That's a huge part of NIL, but also what you have done on the court as a freshman. You broke IU's single game freshman digs record and single season freshman digs record. How'd that feel to you?
It's amazing. I couldn't do it without the team, honestly. Like props to them. Like it's all them basically.
Is that true? I mean,
Yeah.
I think
Like,
she's
Definitely not.
All of them.
But
I couldn't do it without them. that's
we do
for
help a
sure.
little bit, but it's mostly you.
What have you learned most in your freshman season?
So much. Definitely like controlling the uncontrollables has been huge right now with our season. I think just focusing on the next step and like the component like ahead of us instead of what's behind us.
Cameron, how do you think you've grown individually as a player from your freshman year to your junior year?
I think a lot of it is just confidence in myself. When I got here, I didn't even play the position that I play now. So that was a really big like growth thing that I had to get through. And I think, just confidence in myself. Like I was very, very shy before. Like I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys. And I think that's very cool just to see how everybody around me has forced me to kind of be more confident in myself and who I am.
Probably helps that you made some history in the Big Ten Conference, right? Top 10 in Big Ten history in aces during the rally era since 2001. That's pretty incredible. How proud are you of that accomplishment?
Pretty proud. I didn't even know it happened until after it happened, but that was cool.
You didn't know it happened until right after it happened?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. If somebody told you would have done that as a high school coming into college, what would you have said?
I would not have believed them at all.
You were all Big Ten last year too, as well. What are some of your goals just to finish out the rest of this season and just going into your senior year?
One of the biggest goals for the group, I think, is just to make the tournament. That's something that our program hasn't done in a long time. And I think that's probably the biggest goal that I have as like individual and for the team. And just to keep going. I try not to think about accolades too much and just focus on my play and who I am.
That's a team mentality. We love that. You mentioned focusing on your play and who you are, but we also want to know you and some of the deals that you have right now. I know you have a little bit of a deal with McDonald's. What does that entail? Can you tell us about that?
So it's been like a couple like individual deals. So like they came out with a bacon ranch McCrispy or something like that. So I was supposed to be like someone else promote that and the Big Mac. So that was pretty fun. I got a Big Mac hat. So that was cool. I gave it to one of my teammates because she's like, I love it. Can I have it? I was like, yeah, of course. But yeah, that was really fun. Just some little deals like that.
What other things do you have your eye on that you're passionate about that you think, I mean, kind of like the Sour Patch Kids thing. I mean, I think we have something going there. But for you, Cameron, what are the other things that you might have your eye on in the future that you're passionate about and that you might like to invest in a little bit?
Kind of the same with Ramsey. I love candy, chocolate, candy, all of that. I also love to be I love to be outside. I love to be exercising, doing stuff that's good for me. And I've also had the opportunity to go on a women's build with Habitat, which was very cool. I got to connect to all the other women in the community, and that just really was very empowering.
I was going to say, is that part of NIL that is also exciting, the fact that that is an option too? Because beforehand, that may not have been an opportunity that was readily available to get involved in the community like that through NIL.
Yeah, it was something that was definitely outside my comfort zone too. And it really pushed me to go out there and like, I made so many new connections with other women, and it's just been very empowering just to have that relationship with them.
Mm-hmm. So being a part of the Bloomington community now, like working with Habitat for Humanity, how meaningful is that to you?
Very, very meaningful. So a lot of the women I've met have children who also play volleyball. So I get to meet them different ways, like their kids will come to camp, or like we have done some camps out at the YMCA. So I'll get to see them there, and then it's just reconnecting with the women as much as the children.
And on opendoors.com, you have a lot of options for people to book different things with you, right? They can book like a video or they can book an appearance. Can you tell us about some of those options that people have to get to know you?
You know, I'm not even sure what all the options are, but I did have one guy reached out to me and wanted me to send his daughter a video about her season or her tryout or something she did. And so I actually got to interact with her a little bit. And she lived in Georgia. She didn't even live in Indiana, which was really cool. So it was just like that, building connections with everybody across the country.
That's an example of how far of a reach this can have, and the new NIL format and the impact that it can have. Ramsey, tell us a little bit about what you might be passionate about. I know you talked about the shoes and candy and all that stuff, but when it comes to, you know, she talked about Habitat for Humanity. You are just a freshman, so you're still figuring this out. But when you look at organizations like that, are there any that you might be passionate about and helping with?
I'm really passionate about like family, and I love kids. I have 2 nephews and 1 niece, so like they're my life. I love them. So like just giving back to the community in any way possible would be perfect. Amazing. Yeah.
So how are things like your all's passions, how does social media play a role in like personalizing yourself and your brands? Ramsey, I'll go back to you with that one.
Especially like social media wise, yeah, it's been huge. Like just showing off like things that I love, volleyball, like my family, I love showing them off. Yeah. It's been a huge platform and open doors for us, like a bunch. Yeah.
How much do you think, and we'll direct this at Cameron just since you're a junior, how much do you think this, you know, as we watch NIL develop and as we watch universities put a priority on NIL, how much do you think it will help with recruits in the future if Indiana is a place that they see as opportunistic for NIL deals?
Oh, I think it'll help a ton. That's something that Steve and I have actually had some conversations about, is how can we make Indiana look better through NIL? How can we get those recruits? What is attractive about Indiana? So like I think NIL is definitely one of the big polls right now in recruiting. That's for sure. And I think that Indiana kind of has a leg up on some other schools right now since we're so ahead of it.
They have a leg up. So what is attractive about Indiana to you, Cameron?
So they've been very helpful with the ways that like they help connect the athletes with other companies and brands. So I think athletics has been very open about like the rules that you have to follow and all that, and just kind of helping you get into the community and reach out to the other people that like want to help you,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Ramsey, did you feel that when you were being recruited and when you were starting your process of coming to IU as a freshman, that kind of that was mapped out for you and you saw some examples of the impact you could have in NIL here?
Yeah, I felt a lot of support coming into this, and I saw like a lot of things that we could do in the future. So yeah, it was definitely like mapped out for us.
And just like that community aspect, I mean, certainly something else that's attractive about IU is playing in the sold out Wilkinson Hall. So I think, Ramsey, did you ever think about that, like that you would be playing in the sold out Wilkinson Hall when you were being recruited?
No, honestly, no. It was kind of crazy, especially even going to like the Big Ten play. I didn't really know what to expect. So just coming into it, even like our first game, it was like almost sold out. And I was like, wow, like I definitely had to take a step back and like take it all in.
Before we go, I want to ask you to maybe just a couple of your favorite moments of the season so far, whether that be on the court or something you did with the team as a whole, because as we've mentioned many times during this, Indiana volleyball has seen an uptick in attendance. It's seen an uptick in excitement, in people paying attention to it. Favorite moments of this season so far for you guys?
In preseason, we got to travel to Long Beach, and so we got to go to Rachel, our coach's, her parents' house.
Oh,
And so we got to just spend a night like with them and like just kind of be together, and that was really cool, especially for being like one of our first away trips of the season. And then I thought it was also really fun to beat Purdue because that's something that I
there it is.
dreamed of, being an Indiana kid. Like that's very cool for me to like have accomplished that with this group.
Yeah, coming in, like beating Purdue is like top tier. Like, yeah, it's an experience that, it was really cool. I also thought Miami trip was super cool.
Okay.
We got to have a nice dinner, and it was really exciting. And we beat Miami in 5, so it was a really good win.
You know, they like
Really
to
good
have
week.
fun, but I love that you guys capped both of those answers off by, when we won, when we beat Purdue, and when we won in 5. We love to hear that. Well, we have enjoyed so much getting to know both of you. We appreciate the time, and we look forward to the rest of the season at Wilkinson Hall.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will be right back here in just a minute with a little bit more. Guess who we're going to talk to next? We're going to talk to Indiana volleyball head coach Steve Aird, and he's pretty entertaining, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to want to miss it. We're going to talk about that when we come back here in just a second. A reminder to you before we go, your donations are matched 100% today. Go to inforindiana.com. We'll see you in just a second with Coach Aird. Welcome back to the Cuban Center. Thanks so much for joining us today. A reminder that today your donations are matched 100%. Go to inforindiana.com. We are at, listen, you want to do the honors, Coach Jared? Where are we at?
We're at the Cuban Center, man.
No!
Oh, no. 177,000.
We are at
177,000.
107. He knows where he is, though, as well. We are at 177,000. I'm Trisha Whitaker alongside Kara Adams. I teach here at the Indiana Media School. Kara is a student here, and this man right here hardly needs an introduction. This is Indiana volleyball head coach Steve Aird. We love him.
Hi, buddy.
If you know him, you love him. He's entertaining always, and he's going to chat with us a little bit. We just spoke with two of your players, Cameron Hayworth and Ramsey Gary, two wonderful, wonderful athletes at Indiana University. But, you know, they couldn't stop talking about you. They were just glowing reviews about you and what you've done with the program. But before we get to that, I do want to get your take on NIL and the importance of it for this university, not just for some of the high revenue sports that we talk about, but for every sport at IU and what it can do for the landscape of college sports moving forward. Your thoughts?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Here's what I would say. I would say that when I took the job at Indiana, one of their stated goals was they wanted the student athlete experience to be unbelievable across the board. So whether you're talking about strength conditioning, nutrition, the mental health services, opportunities to compete in the best conference in the country, all of that stuff. I think NIL is the next thing. And they just want to be as competitive or better than anyone in the country. And I think that's a great goal. The other thing that's always been so unbelievable about this institution is how they view all of the sports. You know, I've been in some other Big Ten schools. I've been across the country. You know, you'll see pockets of student athletes. You'll see things for student athletes. But the 24 sports, one team mantra has been so empowering for everyone. So we'll go to lunch and, you know, we'll go over to the football stadium and there's, you know, Olympic divers with future NBA guys, with Mike girls, with it's like an Olympic village where
awesome.
Everyone's supporting one another. And I think that when you're looking at what today is about, it's about trying to give them the best possible student athlete experience you can. And it's becoming one of the biggest things in the country when it comes to college athletics. We understand it. We want to be great at it. We want to be great at everything, but this is just one of those spokes that we need to make a big run at.
So how important is a sport like volleyball, like NIL? How important is female empowerment within NIL, like when you're coaching and leading your program?
I think there's two things that stand out. Number one, if you're paying attention at all to women's athletics in the country, you're seeing explosions everywhere, whether it's women's basketball or women's volleyball. You know, our colleagues in Nebraska played in front of 92,000 people this year. TV ratings are out of control. The Big Ten in women's volleyball is the premier league in the country. And we are in a league with schools that are all fighting for the same stuff. I mean, we all want to win. We all want to be competitive. I think companies getting behind female athletics, women's athletics right now might be the smartest thing. I keep tweeting about it. I put it out on social media. Someone's going to get smart enough to really, really invest in it, and it's going to go crazy. There's a pro women's volleyball league that's starting in this country, starting in February. It's gone nuts, and I think that's something that we take very seriously. It's you know, when our matches now, thankfully, are selling out. You have all of these young women in the stands looking at our players, looking at the teams, knowing one day they can go and have an unbelievable experience, just like a football player, just like a men's basketball player. And I think that's really important.
I was going to say that's got to be the most exciting part of NIL for programs like the volleyball program or programs that might not get that traditional media attention that the basketball program does or the football program. And the fact now that the women have something to really empower themselves and build their own brand, that is impactful beyond words.
Well, and let me let you behind the curtain. I spent a lot of time in my office with the players. The financial piece is one piece of it, but we got to talk about the community service piece. Right. We've got girls that are really passionate about certain things. They're now able to make a huge difference. You're talking about the number of hours we talk about business and talking about networking and talking about how to build their brand and things that outside of the sport of volleyball. Listen, the sport of volleyball, it's a ball. I put it on your floor. We keep it off ours. It's a vehicle that we're teaching life lessons through. But these guys have learned so much, and especially with these opportunities now where they get to network, be in the community, walk around Bloomington, and people are like, hey, good luck tonight. Or, you know, it's like the Malik burger, right? We bought your burger. We're supporting you. All of those things matter. And to have that experience as a student athlete where you're at a place where you know it matters, people are behind you, people support you. It's something that we're obviously getting a huge dose of this year. we're fortunate. We're doing well, and the girls are having a great experience. But it all matters, and every single dollar today matters.
Going off of that kind of community aspect, obviously we just talked to Cameron Hayworth. She does work with Habitat for Humanity. She has an NIL deal with McDonald's. How do you see her as a player and individual on and off the court? How do you think she's grown since her freshman year here with not a ton of NIL until now her junior year with NIL is pretty huge?
So she's a special one for me. We recruited her as a 9th grader, and I just always knew she just had special in her. She was going to be a great athlete. She was the kind of kid I wanted to build a program with. She's really, really tough, very competitive, incredible human being, hardworking. And listen, when I took the job, things weren't in a great place. We weren't winning much, and we had to get better. She's just become one of the greats in the history of our program. I think she's going to be an All-American this year. I think the sky's the limit for her to play after college. And full credit to her. I think, you're a good coach when you got good players. That's number one. But full credit to the university. I mean, Indiana has done such a good job of supporting us, giving us all the resources we need, sending her to USA tryouts and being able to have international opportunities. We did a foreign tour last year where we took the girls overseas. So anything that we need, they're trying to do. And I think a day like today is just continuing to empower the athletes on our team to go and do bigger and better and faster.
You talked about Cameron. Ramsey Gary was in here right before you. She's a freshman. This NIL stuff is very new to her, but talk about maybe her impact on the program, because she has already broke IU's single game freshman digs record and single season freshman digs record. And we want people to get to know these players, not just off the court through their NIL deals, but that's an impressive accomplishment.
She is another one of these kids who, an Indiana kid, wanted to represent Indiana, wanted to come here. We had a great connection early. Been really fortunate to train some great players at that position. She's come in. And again, I think great coaching at times, it comes back to recruiting. Can you recruit great players that are built the same way or value the same things you do? And then it's steering the ship. I think you can't be the engine. These kids, after a loss, after a win, Sunday mornings, they're working. And I think that separates the greats. They come early, they stay late. She's incredibly proud to represent Indiana. I think she's going to have an unbelievable career. She's off to a pretty fast start, we would say, and is having a great experience. And again, it comes back to the support. It's Scott Dolson, it's Maddie White, it's Jeremy Gray. It's the people behind the scenes that are fighting like crazy to give them everything that they need that really, in my mind, separate what makes it a joy to coach.
Going off, kind of maybe transitioning into a little bit more about your program and just the community aspect, what have you tried to do to really get the Bloomington community and students behind this program? Like you've had games sold out now in Wilkinson Hall. What has that meant to you too?
One of my stated goals, I wanted it to be fun. I wanted it to be a party. When Jay Wilkinson donated the money for Wilkinson Hall, and I met with our former athletic director, Fred Glass, about the vision and said, listen, if we build it here and it's close to Assembly Hall, it's right across the street from the dorms, it's going to turn into this, and we've had some matches this year that have been really, really fun to be a part of. I think the vision is slowly starting to get there. It's an incredibly tough conference, so I don't think you're going to go from A to Z or 0 to 100 immediately. But we've had so much growth over the last couple of years, and not just in the space of performance on the court, but recruiting has gone crazy. We're really well positioned for the next, a real fun run over the next few years, and I think all of that is really important for people to know.
You mentioned the ratings are off the charts. Big Ten Network airing these games. How big has that been?
They've been great. And I remember I was a coach a decade ago. I was at Penn State as an assistant, and I think the Big Ten Network had just started. And you were like, "This is cool." I think they're starting to really focus on this, and now, I mean, holy smokes, they're showing Nebraska, Wisconsin, or Nebraska, Minnesota after a football game, and there's more viewers for the volleyball match than there was for the football game. Now, it's an outlier, but at the same time, it just shows you it's another great example of where this is headed. And I think the Big Ten, for 40, 50 years, the Big Ten in volleyball has been outstanding. It's not slowing down. We're going to be adding 4 teams from the West Coast. They're all unbelievable. 3 of them have won a national championship. One was in the Final Four last year. So if people think it's going to get any easier to recruit or any easier to win, it's not. And but listen, if you're going to work as hard as we work, you want to be in the place where you have an opportunity to train the best, play with the best, against the best. And again, that's why a day like today, I think on the macro, people have to understand our goals are really, really high. I came here, I took this job to win the conference. We want to make a deep run in the tournament. That's a stated goal. And if it wasn't, I'm wasting my time. We're wasting our time. Whether we get there or not is going to come back to a whole bunch of stuff. But a day like today is so very important.
And what is it about this group that you have right now of players that is just really getting closer to those goals that you just mentioned?
I think it's a level of, first of all, it's really good human beings. I mean, I say this all the time, but they've got a 3.7 GPA. They come early, they stay late, they're polite. Well, fair enough. They come early, they stay late, they do all the right things. They're good to the janitors. They're good to the greeters at matches. They're great in the community. They just care. I think they really care about IU. I think they care about playing for this place and representing it in the conference. Obviously pretty darn skilled and have come a long way with the development. My staff's done a great job of developing the team. And then I think the bottom line is it's the commitment, man. They just said finally, like, hey, we want this to be real. We want to make an impact. They stay in the summer. They work hard. They do all the stuff you're supposed to do. We have great role models around here. You know, Terry Morin's an unbelievable role model. What she's done with her program, you look at men's soccer, you look at swimming and diving, you look at basketball and all the tradition and history. So with volleyball, we're not that. We know it's a relatively young sport. We don't have all the banners, we don't have all the rings, but we're thirsty to grab some. So that's the goal.
And they have you. So let me be the first to say, Coach Aaron, thank you for what you've done for Indiana volleyball. I grew up in Bloomington. I grew up going to the Indiana volleyball camps when I was little. I was horrible. I was not good, but I really enjoyed it. And to see what you have done with this program has really touched my heart and has been close to me and my family and the entire community of Bloomington. And it's just been wonderful, wonderful to watch. And we are looking forward to the rest of this season and amazing years to come. Coach Aird, thank you so much for the time.
Thanks for doing this.
We appreciate you. All right, we will be right back with a little bit more. A reminder, if I haven't reminded you enough, which I probably have, but your donation today is matched. And if that motivational speech from Coach Aird wasn't enough to motivate you to donate, I don't know what will be. Your donations are matched 100% today. Go to inforindiana.com and we'll be right back. Welcome back to
Who's supposed to start?
I don't know. Welcome back.
Four broadcasters, one camera. Let's
Let's see who bites first.
We promise that we're professionals and actually do this for a living. Welcome back to the Cuban Center. I'm Trisha Whitaker alongside Kara Adams, Jeremy Gray, and Galen Clavio. It has been so much fun to be with you today at the Cuban Center. We just heard from Indiana volleyball coach Steve Aird, and he was phenomenal. That was a motivational speech. And Galen, I would love to hear an update on the donations so far.
I'm so excited. We started off the day, we were at about, in the first 9 hours, we were 38,000 total. We're at $178,352 donated. Yes, let's everybody give yourselves a hand there. Absolutely. Now, a couple of things. That is pre-match. 100% match today. We talked about this. So that's $178,000. That is actually double that. If I knew how to do math, I'd give you, it's actually about $350,000 right now. So that's a tremendous impact already on the name, image, and likeness funds available for IU student athletes. And just to shout out some of the folks that have donated, Michael Murphy, thank you, $50 donation. Matt Hornell, thank you so much. Barb Levin, who we know from social media with IU for many years. We appreciate you donating. Ryan Woolsey, let's go IU field hockey, giving a donation there. Charles Richards, swim team donation. Harry Sherman, thank you so much, $1,000 donation. Rob Legg ran for IU from 1967 to 1971.
Awesome.
Wanted to see the program excel as they did during those years. We've had now a total of 213 donors so far. That's amazing. And we're just getting started. We've got a full day of programming. Jeremy, when you thought about this as an idea, this not just the day of giving, but this idea of how do we get people involved, this is kind of what we were hoping for, right?
Oh, no question about it. And I want to apologize to Kara, as you have the three people who teach sports broadcasting in the media school not take any floor direction at all when we had to come on the air. No, but this is exactly what we want. I think NIL is important for a myriad of reasons. I think it's an idea his time has not only come, it's long overdue for student athletes to have the same opportunities that students who attend classes regularly on campus have long been afforded. But seeing the IU community rally behind this, I think there has been maybe a long-standing perception, like, is there anything that I can do that can really help? You know, I'm just trying to pay my own bills. Absolutely, it helps. These are meaningful opportunities for our student athletes, and it really does change their student athlete experience in important ways. And that really runs the gamut from, you know, a men's basketball player or a women's basketball player who's especially adept at social media, or a football player who's doing exceptionally well financially through NIL, to a college student who is on a team and they might only be on 30% scholarship because of the equivalency. Meaningful extra money really goes a long way to their experience. And so seeing everybody rally behind it's been great.
It is one of the things about college athletics people don't realize. I mean, everybody assumes that everybody's on a full scholarship, and it's not the case. I mean, there are baseball players who are on partial scholarships, and the finances around college athletics aren't always what they appear to be. And as you said, the idea that a college athlete should, you know, have the ability to capitalize off of their name, image, and likeness, and that's something every student's had, except for student athletes, for the longest time. So the fact that now there's those opportunities is really important, and it certainly affords athletes opportunities that allow them to consider a place like Indiana where they might not have before.
No doubt about it. And I also think when you really look at the Olympic model that held for so long and how ridiculous that looks in retrospect, that Mary Lou Retton had to wait until after she stopped competing in order to be able to capitalize on her name, image, and likeness, while Simone Biles is a multimillionaire while she competes. And by the way, I love Simone Biles as much as I did Mary Lou Retton, cheering for them in the Olympic Games. Having student athletes be, and it can mean a lot of different things. Obviously, working with collectives, being a social media influencer, or even giving tennis lessons and being able to say you're an IU tennis player. These rule changes, I think, have been a very, very positive.
It also, I think, one of the things we hit on earlier that I failed to think about originally when this whole NIL thing came out was the fact that obviously you do focus on some of the higher revenue sports. And it's not that that's not a good thing, but they really had a lot of that notoriety before NIL. What I feel it does so well is gives people like Indiana volleyball players an opportunity to do things like that they would not have had before, to build their own brand, which they deserve to do the same way that the high revenue sports and Indiana football players and IU basketball players deserve to do. To me, that empowerment, especially for female athletes, hits home for me, because that's an opportunity that you would not have had without NIL.
Well, and Kara, we're all old up here except for you. But social media plays such a huge factor in how you and college students like yourself consume media now.
Right.
It's not about television ads, it's about what's on Instagram or what's on TikTok. The visibility that NIL can afford college athletes in a variety of sports, and to be able to monetize social media makes a huge difference.
It makes a huge difference. Like, even just talking to Cameron Hayworth and volleyball, who's a volleyball player, a sport that maybe doesn't have, like we've all said, a high revenue like football or basketball, but like I've seen her on Instagram and Twitter doing her McDonald's NIL deal. Like, it creates such a new whole aspect of an area for athletes to be able to capitalize on themselves and brand themselves, and really just allow the community and Bloomington community to get to know them even more.
And I obviously, by not taking the cue at the very beginning, I shouldn't be teaching sportscasting either, but I shouldn't be teaching advertising. However, people between the ages of 14 and 30 are very difficult to advertise to. You don't listen to traditional radio. You don't have traditional cable. It's just harder. The best way to market to people of that age group is through influencer marketing. And one of the great things that Hoosiers Connect does is that it connects student athletes with businesses. And Cameron Hayworth is a notable person on campus with a large social and digital media following, and she's looked up to by many.
Right.
She is a great vessel for companies to connect with and have as an advertiser.
100%. Yeah.
InForIndiana.com. It's an easy donation. There's no platform fee, which is a big thing. You can also, if you want to, you can designate what sport it goes to. If you're a huge IU track and field fan, as we heard earlier, and you want to donate directly to that, you can. You can give a general donation to Hoosiers Connect, and they'll find the best usage for it. We've got the $1 million goal. We're going to try to get as close to that as we can today. The generosity of the anonymous donor who's matching all of the donations today, we can't thank them enough. And we can't thank all of you folks enough for what you've done so far throughout the course of the day. We've got a great remainder of the day in terms of programming. We're going to be heading over to Franklin Hall, home of the media school here, for a 1:30 start. We've got Philip Bleedy. We've got Aaron Casey joining us on that program. We have some other special guests hopefully joining us as well. And then later on at 5 o'clock, we'll have Kara back on as we'll be talking with JT Harms and Patrick McDonald from the men's soccer team. We'll have Zoe Tiger and Sydney Mazer from the women's soccer team. And then tonight, as we mentioned, we've got head coach Terry Morin of the women's basketball team. We've got Sydney Parrish. We've got Mackenzie Holmes. We're not going to make a surprise appearance. I guess it's not a surprise now, but going to make an appearance at about 8:15. So tune in throughout the course of the rest of the day. We've got the Hoosiers Connect YouTube channel. You might be watching on that. We've got the Back Home Network YouTube channel. If you missed part of this interview, or if you want to go back and watch Xavier Johnson and Trey Galloway talk with Trisha and Kara, you can go check that out on the YouTube channel as well. Any final thoughts before we wrap up here?
This is really important, and thank you guys for coming out and doing this for our student athletes, and keep it coming.
Keep it coming.
Yeah,
There we
it's been
go.
a great day so far.
We're at 179,582. I'm hoping when we get to 130, we'll get to at least 200K. I've got faith in everybody. Anyway, thank you, Kara Adams. Thank you, Trisha Whitaker. Thank you to Jeremy Gray for joining us. A huge thanks to Emily Fox, who's been on the control board here. A big thanks to Andrew Brown from the Cuban Center for helping with this whole setup, and the entire Cuban Center staff, the entire sports information staff. We'll be back at 1:30. Be sure to tune in. Be sure to go to InForIndiana.com. Make your donations. Help support IU Athletics NIL through Hoosiers Connect. We'll catch you folks on the flip side.